Alright, there was a temporary maintenance earlier. Compensation 200 diamonds. Pork. I will take it, man. I will take it. Free diamonds. Let's go and do more pulls with it. Hey, what is up guys? Guitar Rock here. Welcome back to another Brave 9 video. Alright, Octo's rising. So, today we'll be checking out the day 5. I believe today's one is day 5 for the selection. Alright, so if you guys are still undecided, take your time. Alright, like I mentioned already, I've mentioned this in the previous 2 videos or 3 videos. If you can't decide, take your own time, don't rush, because you have multiple days to decide. Alright, so in this case I have 10 more days to decide. So day 2 I still haven't chosen mine, day 3 I haven't chosen mine, day 4 no rush as well. So today one is day 5, enchant rune 10 times. Alright, let's go and do that first. Alright, so we're gonna get, some gold, 1 million gold, horseshoes, fatal rune, wow, and honor points. Alright, so today's one is supporter. Now, this is very important. Alright, it's gonna be, I would say today's one might actually be more important than every other day's one, because supporters are actually the core of how you can build your mercenaries around them. Now let's talk about Serena, Isabelle and Ebony. So I do think that if you are new, one of these three should be your focus. Alright, Serena is good, mentioned before already. She allows for a lot of possibilities, but she doesn't give crit damage. She focuses more on attack and very high amounts of crit rate as well. So most of the time her crit rate boost is usually enough to get a lot of low crit rate units to almost 100% defense. So that's something that I like her about, alongside with purification. And she has this permanent attack interference immunity, which makes her cannot be silenced, cannot be frozen. I like her a lot. Alright, this skill makes her really cool. In Novice Arena, in regular arena, you cannot freeze her, you cannot charm her, etc. It's really strong and it also makes her pretty tanky. Alright, at plus 15, you're gonna have a very tanky unit. So I would say Serena, in my opinion, should be the top priority. Second should be Isabelle. Alright, so Isabelle is the opposite of Serena. This is going to come into a couple of things. She doesn't give much attack, so there's 5% attack here, there's 5% attack here, so 10% attack. But she gives insane amount of crit damage, alright, which Serena does not provide at all. Serena gives crit rate, crit damage. Isabelle gives everything, but her attack is very low, alright. She focuses more on crit rate and crit damage. So if you have units like Yuri, alright, if you have units like Lyudmila as well, alright, so Isabelle is going to make a lot of sense for you, alright. Isabelle is going to be better for those units. But if you have fixed damage units where they don't need a crit rate like Dalvi, alright, then Serena might be better. But in most cases, Serena does have more range, so Isabelle's range is very limited, 3 units, and it's especially important if your middle unit that you're buffing dies, and then the entire chain will sort of get messed up, but at least Serena can still cover a wide variety of ranges. So overall, I would say she's pretty decent, alright. She doesn't give purification, which is also her downside against Serena. She gives immunity, which is attack interference, but your units can still receive stats weakening. So if you use her with Lyudmila, for example, the pairing is Isabelle and Lyudmila. If your Lyudmila hits Olivia, your Lyudmila hits Angelica, your Lyudmila hits Edin, your Lyudmila can still get stats weakened, alright, because of curse, will still struggle occasionally to one-shot them. So that's something they have to keep in mind. I would prefer something like a stats weakening immunity most of the time. With that, we have Ebony in mind. Alright, Ebony is also, cross-tile. She has slightly more range than an Isabelle. So she focuses on everything, a variety of different categories. Attack, crit rate, and crit damage. She doesn't excel particularly in most of these, but she gives the least amount of crit rate amongst all these 3 units. So her crit rate is only 12%. Alright, her support time is 12%. Her crit damage is 55%. Her attack is 45 plus 5 right here, which is 50%. Alright, so she does provide immunity, stats weakening, and attack interference. So this, in a lot of way, it makes more sense than Isabelle. Alright, because Isabelle only gives attack interference and removal, I think it's not immunity. Yeah, it's a removal. So you need her to buff. So in most cases, immunity might be better. So depends on what you really want. So Ebony can be seen as a Michaela, a mini Michaela, a budget version of a Michaela. If Because Michaela, to get both the immunity, will need, I think, plus 13 or something, which is quite a high skill ceiling right there. For you to reach there, you need companions, and 5-star, you know, is very expensive and stuff. But for Ebony, you know, you can easily do that because she's a 4-star unit, alright? So getting her companions is going to be way easier. She gets it right there at plus 12. So easily achievable. But in most cases, plus 15 is where you want to be at. 20, okay, yeah, it is a huge boost from 14 to 15. Much more attack. Now do keep in mind, Ebony does not have immunity herself. Okay, so it's something that I think players need to know. She is very susceptible to a lot of things. She can be charmed, she can be silenced, she can be frozen, anything, alright, because she herself does not have immunity. Whereas Serena does have that. Alright, Serena has attack interference immunity. Very important for supporters, cannot be silenced, etc. Same goes for Isabelle. Isabelle's one is debuff immunity, which is even better whenever she supports an ally. Alright, so between these three, this should definitely be your primary source of supporter for picking one. Alright, I don't see why you would pick anyone else on this list. Alright, Lulu is good, but she only excels in Novice. If you need offensive buffs in Arena, Serena, Isabelle, or Ebony is going to provide you with a better one. So overall, to be honest, if you ask me who is better, I think I would still pick Serena, and not because Isabelle and Ebony is bad, but because I prefer something with a range. Alright, something with a plus 15 range. Now, granted, if that is only if you can get her to plus 15. Without plus 15, if your Serena is stuck at plus 14 forever, it's gonna be a big struggle for you. Plus 15 is just, it's so huge, alright? So if you have fought battles before, you would know that once the main target that your supporters is buffing dies, and then they will move on to the next target. And in most cases, Serena gives you the flexibility because her range is bigger, so you will still be buffing some of the other units within the area. Whereas for Isabelle and Ebony, I would say it's gonna be much more difficult because they have, you know, smaller buff range. And if you intend to play like seriously, right? If you want to tackle other contents besides Arena, let's say you want to explore Underground Arena, you want to explore things like Evil Castle, you want to try out Guild Wars as well, I would say Serena plus 15 is going to help you much more because of the bigger range. It gives you the flexibility to move your units around, to try and diversify and try and counter the enemy later on. It's really a tough choice for sure, but plus 15 wise, if you can plus 15, I would go Serena. If you can't, I would go Ebony because of the immunity. I do like it. I don't care if Ebony doesn't have the immunity. In most cases, the round 1 makes the most sense, alright, the most priority. It's either you go all in, one-shot the opponents, or you don't. And yeah, Isabelle used to be really strong back then with a lot of Asmode or whatever around. She gives insane amount of crit rate and crit damage. It's just crazy. She can compete with Michaela in terms of the amount of crit damage that she gives. They both give. But the problem is right now we have Livia running rampant around, and I have a feeling Angelica is going to climb. Seto is going to be everywhere as well. So her buffs doesn't really help much. She can be a good pairing with Lumila like I mentioned, but if Lumila is going to get cursed everywhere, I would say going something like Ebony makes much more sense because of stats weakening immunity. So that is something that you have to consider. There are quite a lot of cursed defenders and cursed magicians out there right now. So that's something that we have to pay attention to with the meta flowing around. So the rest of the units here, they are sort of in the usable range. Lulu is pretty good, but again, she needs plus 15 or 14 and above to be really strong in Novice Arena. So she might be the other candidate right here that you can consider. Anais is decent as well. She is the only supporters right here, alright, out of all of these lists that provides debuff immunity. So this is really, really cool if you're trying to tackle certain things, certain stages of Evil Castle, etc. But in most cases, she is not really a rush to build. You can sort of build her slowly because she does have debuff immunity already at the beginning, 8 turns. But it's just that she gets more range at plus 6. Wait, not plus 6, plus 9. Which is, like right now, you can get her straight up. Naresa used to be really strong, but right now with all the other better supporters, I don't think there's a reason to get her. Cerubia is pretty decent, but I would prefer to get a Veronia. She's decent at plus 9, but I don't see a reason to get her specifically unless you want to modify Christina's power range to a front to counter Lucius. That's the only thing that I've seen most players use her for. Q-Week, definitely do not pick Q-Week, alright? If you pick Q-Week as a new player, you're gonna struggle a lot because Q-Week really needs plus 10. If you cannot plus 10 him, don't bother. 75% his max HP, plus 10 is 100%. That one is much more bigger than you think, alright? I will make a separate video, a much more detailed video comparing Q-Week, Zakan and Chalkle in the future, hopefully. But for now, if you are new and you cannot afford to plus 10 the Q-Week, avoid him. And with Seto coming out, like I mentioned, same goes for Chalkle, same goes for Zakan. I feel like the value of them is dropping. You can slowly build them for sure, but there's no rush to pick it at a plus 9 compared to the others. Alright, John is the only unit that gives Taunt right here. Used to be really strong. I'm not entirely sure if you can actually utilize much of him anymore. There is one season last time with John and Acha that was like quite a while back when the combo was very strong, but then that meta was short-lived. So yeah, overall, right here, even Ceres, I wouldn't recommend picking. She does give stats weakening, do keep in mind. But why would you pick Ceres when you can pick Ebony? Ebony does have stats weakening as well, and Ebony, if you skill her high enough, she will give you stats weakening and attack interference immunity. So at this point, before this, maybe yes, Ceres is good last time. But with Ebony's rework at plus 12, I would say Ebony is just like 3 times better at this point. So consider going the Ebony route instead. Alright guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.